Amy guides an overnight trail ride in the episode to assist Jessica with her new position as a photographer. Amy and Jack argue about Finn during the trip. Rick is angered by Lou's most recent mayoral incident. We watch Jessica fretting over her new photography job because Grayson Bolt, the fashion designer whose campaign she was scheduled to capture, is weeks behind schedule with his new collection due to creative block. So Jessica invited Grayson to Heartland so he could take a break and rediscover his inspiration, reasoning that a change of scenery could be beneficial. And Grayson gladly agreed, boarding the first aircraft out of New York. Being in the nation and meeting the miracle girl personally made Grayson happy. So the two started conversing right away, and Amy said to Grayson that she typically finds that a lengthy journey helps her to unwind. After hearing this, Grayson made up his mind to go on an overnight trail ride with Jessica since he thought it would be precisely what he needed to get his creative mojo back. Amy and Jack agreed to go along with Tim and Jessica. The company left the following morning for a protracted trail ride that would provide Grayson with a true cowboy experience, including a protracted ride, cold beans around a campfire, and sleeping under the stars. Grayson went to the ranch to get some fresh air and a different viewpoint, but Ezra, Jessica's ex-boyfriend turned friend and an investor in Grayson's new record company, also went. Ezra was therefore quite hesitant when it came time to consent to participate on the overnight trail ride. He had to go, though, because Grayson and Jessica were. Ezra didn't appear to be enjoying himself during the entire trail ride. So much so that one could question Ezra's initial decision to travel with them. And that evening, after they had made camp, everything became plain. Ezra began by telling Jessica that she misses New York and that Heartland was only intended to be a brief respite. Then Grayson revealed to Tim that Ezra is only with them, let alone camping with them, so he may attempt to win Jessica back. Since Jessica was the one who ended things when she and Ezra dated, Ezra still harbors feelings for her. As a result, while eating baked beans by the campfire, Tim lost his patience and began blabbing about how he knows Ezra has come to see Jessica. Tim's jealous behavior naturally infuriated Jessica, who rushed off. Tim was jealous again, but this time he had a legitimate cause. Ezra finally acknowledged to Jessica that Tim is correct after all later that night, after Jessica had apologized to him for Tim's inability to comprehend them as just friends. Ezra had believed that by putting distance between herself and New York, Jessica would be able to make him forget his love for her, but the contrary was the case. He still has feelings for Jessica and wants her to come back. Jessica was astonished to learn this. Tim was prepared to deal with Ezra, but Jessica stopped him and assured her husband that she would handle it instead. And she did it by warning Ezra that their friendship would end unless he accepted the fact that Jessica was now married to Tim and that Heartland was the ideal place for her to be. Tim told his wife that he didn't have even the slightest doubt in their marriage and was proud of her for sticking up for herself and it. Thus, Jessica and Ezra's friendship was gone for the time being. Jessica nevertheless expressed hope at the end of the episode that their friendship could be salvaged. All that was needed was for Ezra to take the initiative. With the whole Ezra situation, Jessica's life seemed to have reached its conclusion. And even though it's always painful when a friendship ends, not all of the people in our lives are destined to be there forever. If that's the case, it's okay because Jessica found a new, larger family who accept her for who she is by losing Ezra. Grayson seemed to truly enjoy the trail ride despite the occasional glitches, which gave him the creative boost he needed to continue working on his designs. Grayson's attempts to sketch around the campfire and his observation of the flower motif embossed into the leather of his saddle were the first signs of his inspiration. The big breakthroughs, however, came after Grayson told Amy that while everyone wants him to follow in Ralph Lauren's footsteps, he prefers to take a different path. Grayson acknowledged that the new collection is taking a while to develop since he is trying to recreate himself, which is a difficult and drawn-out process. He also reminded Amy that while development could be gradual, it is still achievable and that they should trust the process. Grayson sketched away the following morning while Amy worked and Vegas was close, and it appeared like Grayson had rediscovered his creativity. During his brief stay at the ranch, Grayson and Amy appeared to develop a close bond. Grayson promised to construct Lindy the garment he sketched while observing Amy at work as they said farewell. Moreover, he expressed gratitude to Amy for their chat by the campfire. Grayson left after assuring Jessica that people will appreciate her art wherever she resides and promising to return to the ranch so that Jack could teach him how to rope. Heartland Season 16 Episode 9 opened with Amy leading Vegas, a brand new client horse, through a maze of challenges. Vegas is a trained bronc whose owner wants to turn him into a trail horse because Vegas quit bucking, but things appeared to be going fairly well anyway. Jack, though, didn't think that was a good plan, and he questioned whether Amy should even attempt to retrain Vegas. Additionally, he was not pleased when Amy chose to take Vegas along with Grayson on the overnight trail ride. Amy argued that unless she puts some miles on Vegas and actually takes him out on a longer trail ride, he will remain an inexperienced trail horse. Which was reasonable, but Jack remained unconvinced. So, as soon as they left the ranch on their horse, Jack appeared to have lost faith in Vegas and, by extension, Amy. Additionally, the fact that Grayson got bucked off because he over-tightened the rear cinch after they halted for a moment didn't help when he unintentionally rode Vegas rather than his trail horse. Amy naturally regarded the occurrence as a straightforward error because she was aware of Vegas's potential. But Jack didn't think so he expressed his opinions when he and Amy went to get Vegas. Amy came to the conclusion that Jack wasn't upset about her training Vegas as much as she thought. The night before, Jack overheard Amy leaving a voicemail for Finn Cotter, in which she asked him to give the youth center some bills and closed by telling him she'd been thinking of him. Additionally, Jack dislikes Al, Finn's grandfather, so he instinctively assumed the worst about Finn and does not want Amy to become engaged with him. So the two got into a heated quarrel. Amy made an effort to convince Jack that Finn wasn't his grandfather. Given what Jack knows about Al, he was unable to accept it and sought to keep Amy and Finn away in order to prevent Amy from suffering harm. As a result, there was still considerable tension between Amy and Jack at the end of the episode. Even after Grayson and Amy raised the possibility that Jack may only be speaking from personal experience, Amy knew in her heart that Finn was a good man and that Jack was mistaken about him. Lou was having a thank you lunch at Maggie's for the flood volunteers while the rest of the family went out on the overnight trail ride. However, the luncheon setup did not go as planned. Rick was supposed to be the guest of honor at the thank you lunch, but Lou wanted to surprise him. After all, as was demonstrated in episode 5, Rick stepped up during the flood crisis and expertly handled everything while Lou was away. It was challenging to keep it a surprise from Rick, though. He generally assists Lou with situations like this because he serves as Lou's chief administrative officer. As a result, when Lou kept Rick in the dark about many event details, met with Agritica Business, Rick had personally approached about sponsoring one of their charitable endeavors and sent him on what seemed to be pointless errands. Rick was aware that something wasn't right. He believed Lou had lost faith in his own skills. Additionally, it didn't help that Katie and Parker indicated Lou might be envious of Rick for taking the limelight when Rick confided in them about Lou acting strangely around him. So Rick decided to make every effort to let Lou know that what was important to her was still important to him. Additionally, he did all of the luncheon setup by himself. However, Rick feared the worst when Lou showed up at Maggie's the morning of the lunch and told Rick to go get some coffee instead of appreciating all of his hard work. Rick believed that he had been demoted to the status of Lou's errand boy. Additionally, the fact that Maggie had a lot of extra coffee seemed to support Rick's suspicion. Rick had enough and stormed out of the luncheon when Lou began by thanking everyone for their generosity, from numerous local businesses to Katie and Parker, without mentioning him. She also claimed that it was she, not Rick, who convinced Agritic to sponsor the Hudson Emergency and Refuge Fund. Lou excused herself and followed Rick since she was perplexed by his behavior. When Rick questioned Lou about what was happening, Lou was compelled to admit that she had done everything to surprise Rick. Rick was definitely taken aback, but also moved by Lou's level of concern. Especially in light of the speech Lou gave in Rick's honor. Rick then apologized to Lou for being overly theatrical the following day. Lou then expressed regret to Rick for having made him feel unloved for a long time, not just that weekend. Following their reconciliation, Lou gave Rick a framed copy of the front page of the Hudson Times, which highlighted Rick. When it comes to their friendship and their working connection, it seems like Lou and Rick have had a difficult season. But now that they've been open with one another, I hope they can both develop and forge an even stronger friendship. The episode opened with Parker looking more engrossed on her phone than normal. When Katie eventually inquired as to what was going on, Parker informed her that Sabrina Lafleur, dubbed the coolest student at Hudson High, had texted her. Sabrina could want to join the Social Justice Committee, Parker thought. Katie, on the other hand, had a different idea about what Sabrina might want. Katie believed that Sabrina might want to invite Parker to her weekend end-of-summer pool party. In any case, the girls were enthusiastic about the potential and believed that perhaps this signified a change in their future academic year. However, Katie realized something was wrong when she saw on Parker's phone that Sabrina had finally replied to her text, but Parker had lied to her about it. Katie initially remained silent about it. However, Katie could take it no longer and questioned Parker about why she had lied about Sabrina's text after Parker emphasized that Rick is his own person and not Lou's sidekick and that he should just be honest with Lou about how he feels. Parker then revealed to Katie that Sabrina had texted him only to ask for Katie's number and extend an invitation to the party. As it turned out, Sabrina had also informed Parker that there was only place for one guest and that she could only invite Katie. To make matters worse, Parker was forced to serve as Katie's secretary by giving Sabrina Katie's phone number. Parker was obviously upset by this. Additionally, she was aware of Katie's strong desire to attend Sabrina's party and assumed that Katie would leave her and go the party by herself. Parker clearly underestimated Katie, too, as she decided not to attend the party, all after learning that Sabrina had only invited her. Parker went to Heartland to talk to Katie on the day of the party, and the two discussed it there. It appears that Katie and Parker have one of the most harmonious relationships on the show, based on how quickly their disagreement was settled. Which is fantastic, and now that school is going to resume, I can't wait to see how their friendship progresses.